All right, Commanders fans, the wait is almost over. What will the new alternate uniforms look like? We're going to talk about this starting right now. And welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs YouTube channel. My name is Greg and I am your host. And of course, we're talking about Commanders stuff, Redskins stuff, whatever you still call this team. We're calling them champions, right? We're calling them champions pretty soon. But anyway, there has been a buzz surrounding a brand new alternate uniform for the Washington Commanders. Now, there's been speculation about this for months. We kind of thought that maybe we would wind up seeing this right before, what was it, OTAs, maybe before free agency, right before the draft. We didn't see any of that, but now is officially we're going to see something in a couple of days, and depending on, of course, when I get this video out to you, hopefully I get this video out to you as I'm recording this on Monday afternoon. Hopefully I'm going to get it out to you Monday evening. If that's the case, then a couple of days. So that means Wednesday, we should be able to see what the new alternate uniforms are going to look like. Now, I have a theory that I think will take us back in time while pushing the brand forward. And I believe that this alternate will bring some fans back into the fold while also keeping the new fans or keeping the fans who want to move forward past the old brand and just make things a little bit more happier for both. At least I hope so. This is going to be my speculation. Okay, so with that said, let's get into it. All right. So we're looking at the silhouette. All right. So right now, if you look at the silhouette, and the funny thing is, if you go online, you're going to see people who have tried their best to change the contrast and everything with this silhouette to make it reveal exactly what's going on. And then you had some people who said, looked like the W was peeling back. Somebody else said that they thought that they saw maybe a spear. Um, Honestly, what I see right here is the same helmet that you always see. So, the first thing that I see, of course, is, if you speculate, it's like, okay, I see the same W that we've had for the last couple of years, maybe on the black uniform, black helmet. It doesn't really excite me, doesn't really surprise me if that's the way that they go. But that's what I initially see. There's so much that people are looking into. It's almost comical. I'm sure that the the organization right now, they're reading all the speculation online, and they'll probably, maybe if I'm lucky enough, someone from the organization will watch this video and get a laugh out of it as well. But yeah, let's start with helmet because that is where I think the biggest statement is going to be made, right? I believe we're going with something bold, nod back to tradition, but with a modern twist. All right. Picture this. Okay. You're going to have the W logo. Yes, it's not my favorite. It's a little generic y, Walmart y, if you will, but you have the W logo, but it's pierced by the iconic feathered redskin spear. How about that? I think that that could look really cool. We've already kind of seen, which kind of called knockoff shirts, and heck, even our coach wore one during an interview last year, where you had the W and then the feather, kind of the same makeup of the feather, just like we see on the Chief logo with the feather coming out of the circle. That's how we kind of did the W. I don't think we're going to see that, but I think we could see the spear. Why? Well, because in some of the teaser photos with Jaden Daniels had him with the spear, and I just think that there's too much to be said about your star quarterback having a picture with this full garb on, holding the spear. I just think there's something more into that. It's not the full Native American imagery. I don't think we'll necessarily ever get that again, or maybe we will, but I don't think it's ever going to be a full time thing. I think maybe that they'll be able to bring it back as a true alternative, and maybe if fans really like this alternative, that they'll consider this the main, makeup. We'll see. But the spear wasn't just an element; it was an identity, much like the Indian chief, right? Which, of course, is something that is near and dear to me. Of course, Washington wore the throwbacks with the spear back in around 2002, I believe it was. You see some iconic pictures of Daryl Green wearing the whole get up, LeVar Arrington as well. Um, and I have to admit, I really liked that uniform. I really liked it. For me, traditionally, though, I'm like, hey, I still like the iconic 1980s, white jerseys, burgundy pants, Chief logo, because to me, that represents a glory years. The glory years for the Washington Redskins when they won all their Super Bowls. And, I know with younger fans that get up doesn't really relate to them as much because they have been under, they grew up under the Dan Snyder era, almost exclusively. So they don't understand the attachment that some of us older fans have with that. But I will admit when they had the throwbacks with the spear, the darker burgundy, just the old stripes, the pants and all that stuff. Excuse me. I really liked it. I really did. Um, of course, this was proudly worn around the '60s. I believe Lombardi came in, kind of changed it because Lombardi being the iconic, legendary coach from the Green Bay Packers, he kind of wanted to turn Washington into another Green Bay Packers. Went to the yellow helmet with the red R in the circle and all that, and it was a nod to Coach Lombardi. And then after that is when the Blackfoot Chief logo came about, had been with the team since then, up until it was, of course, retired. But I think that with the W overlay helps to kind of keep things brand aligned, right? They're not going to be called anything else but the Commanders for the foreseeable future. And now the W logo has kind of gotten attached to the Commanders, but I think you can also work in the spear along with everything as well. Let's talk about the rest of the uniform. Now, obviously, we can't see the rest of the uniform, the silhouette. Um, my prediction, I think we're going to see a return to the classic look from the glory years. Um, I think you're going to see burgundy jerseys or the white jerseys. You're going to see more of instead of the digital camo type stuff, you're going to see more of the plain striping, the clean striping, I guess you would call it, the plain numbers, um, burgundy numbers on the white jerseys, the white with the yellow outline numbers on the burgundy jerseys. I think that you're going to see that. I think eventually they're going to ditch the black. I know that there's some people who just say the black uniforms of fire. I hate them. I know that we got one great thing linked to the black uniforms, and that's the Hail Mary game against the Bears. But outside of that, it hadn't really served us to be that successful. And so I've never liked them anyway. I'm like, our identity has always been Washington Redskins slash Commanders, with the colors being burgundy and gold, yellow gold, and then of course white, but never black, never black. Unless you go back to the days of the old ball coach, where he's like, the burgundy and black. I'm like, there's no black in our jerseys. Come on, Spurrier. But I'm thinking about Joe Theismann, Doug Williams, Sean Taylor, even. Um, let's keep that. Let's keep that and marry that into what we have now. Uh, with the W, with the spear, I think that works. Now, I think honestly, I think more people like that. I think that there's enough people who have hated the white jerseys, for instance, that the white jerseys just need to be ditched. I mean, it looks too much like the Cardinals. I know you're going to have people who are going to argue up and down saying that in person it was the right shade of burgundy, but I'm telling you, unless that you're lucky enough that you get to watch this team live and in person, um, Sunday in and Sunday out, when you're watching them with the white jerseys on TV, doesn't look like Redskins jerseys. Looks more like it just looks more like the Cardinals to me. I mean, that's my opinion. Um, Now, why would they do this? Why would they do it now? Right? I mean, why? They're trying their best to reinvent their identity. They're building a great team around Jaden Daniels. I mean, things are right now. Things are looking up. Hopefully, there's going to be a new stadium coming back to the RFK site. New ownership, new quarterback, all this stuff. Why do we want to even entertain the idea of bringing something back that was old? Why? I think it's simple. Honestly, I think it's simple. Um, the organization is trying to reestablish trust, identity, um, maybe even a connection. Connecting your fans who were alive like me, the fans who were alive and old enough to witness all of the almost all of the Super Bowls they were in, since the '72 Super Bowl with the Dolphins. But even the fans that were old enough to see that, but especially all of the Super Bowls that we won, we want to be able to connect. There should be a connection with those fans. I mean, some of the younger guys could be like, I don't care about these old guys. Well, okay, number one, I'm 50 years old. All right, um, I don't think that's very old. Right. I don't feel very old. If you know me in person, people would say the dude doesn't act 50. He probably acts 16, but he doesn't act 50, right? So I think it's trust, identity, connection. Those three things. Of course, new ownership, new era. Like I said, new quarterback, Jaden Daniels. But they know this fan base is deeply rooted in tradition. And I think that's something that you do tend to have people who are always talking about who cares about tradition. All right, tradition is for old fogies who can't seem to move on in life. They always have to be nostalgic. They can't give up things of the old life. You gotta be able to move on. But it's not about that. Tradition doesn't have to be a negative thing. Tradition can be a great thing. And I think it's something that the team should stay with, honestly, because they had a great tradition before Dan Snyder came into existence here with the franchise. They had a wonderful tradition. Even before the Joe Gibbs era, there were bright times, there were great times steeped in tradition for this franchise. There were championships. I mean, there were great seasons. Yes, they had some low errors as well, but I mean, for the most part, this has always been a fantastic franchise, deeply rooted in tradition. So that's a reason why that you talk about bringing back some things from the past to marry it with what we have today. This alternate uniform, I think, if it's what I think that it will be, it'll be a peace offering as well, right? A bridge between the team's glorious past, like I've said, and their promising future. It's not about going backwards. I've just said that. It's not about going backwards. It's about honoring the legacy while pushing forward under a new name. And I think, honestly, if people understand that, number one, I think those who have been so staunch about if it's if it's not Redskins, it's nothing to me, would kind of come around. It, you know good and well they have not stopped watching this team play. You know good and well they were cheering just like anybody else when Jaden Daniels was throwing those touchdown passes, when he was running for touchdowns, when Terry McLaurin was catching those touchdown passes. You know good and well they are cheering. You know they really, really want to be a part of this team. And I think the issue is the fact that when you have been with something for so long and then suddenly you feel like the identity was taken away, you feel like, honestly, you feel like a bunch of carpetbaggers have come in and taken what was yours and said, this is no longer yours. This is no longer be called this. You're no longer going to be tied to this identity. And you either get on the bandwagon or get left behind. And honestly, for the fans that are in that frame of mind, who want to sweep everything from the past under the carpet and say that never existed, that is definitely not the way that you need to go with this. That should never be the case. What you need to do is you also need to understand that there should be connection. And guess what? This is not going to be just your team. This is still a team for the 100-year-old Washington fans, 90-year-old fans, 80-year-old fans, 70, 60, 50s. This team is still as much their team as it is yours. You guys who are in your 20s, in your 30s, your teens. This is not just your team. You don't get to start your team when Jaden Daniels comes on board, says this is our team. This is how it's going to be. You other guys just get lost. It's not how it's going to be. And you don't want it to be that. You want this fan base to be strong, united, connected. And I think that is the reason why that this ownership is reaching back to try to bring something from the past to connect everybody together so that we can all move forward. I think it's a genius thing. So yes, my prediction certainly is a redesign alternate helmet with classic spear driving through the W. Um, and of course, more of your original, you can call like the Washington football team error, the WFT error, um, version of Washington with the more of the plain burgundy or the plain whites, the burgundy pants, or maybe even bringing the gold pants back. Um, I think that's probably what you're going to see. Maybe the gold pants. Who knows? Maybe there will be more of a darker burgundy. I mean, I'm telling you, I really would love that throwback. And I should have, maybe in post, I will throw this up there. Yeah, I think I'll throw that up there in post. But, um, more of that throwback of the more muted gold, the darker burgundy, the spear. I would love to see that. As a matter of fact, I think that would sell like hotcakes. I really do. So, I mean, folks, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. But I mean, in a couple of days, we are going to be finding out what the alternate's going to look like. I'm excited. I'm sorry for those who are really gotten used to the black uniforms. You may still see those as well, and maybe not. Maybe these alternates are the ones that actually win out, and it could be that this is a precursor to what the team is going to look like permanently moving forward. And I guarantee if people really love this look, then they will likely make this the permanent look. And then who knows? Who knows? Maybe from there, you would see the traditional Chief logo as an alternate. At this point, it's okay. There's never anything wrong with the logo to begin with. Anybody who believes that it was racist, just plain out dumb. But who knows? Maybe you'll see that. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. I know that it seems like every off season there's always talk about the name and jerseys and things like that. And yes, it's a sign that we're lost without football. But this is kind of important to us fans, and so we got to have the look while we're putting up those W's. Take care, everybody. I will see you in the next one.